Jump in where?
Huh?
Huh?
Huh? What?
What? Hello, everyone.
You know what sucks? I was listening to
Oh,
a recent episode. And
of
my
our
audio
podcast?
really? Yeah. Yes. My audio is kind of shitty. Um,
What?
like it clips a little bit. I get a lot of like echo or like just like very voluminous sound. I gotta figure this out.
We both kind of got to figure it out, but
No, your audio is crisp when I listen to it.
Chris.
When I listen to it, I'm like, I hear you and I'm like, oh, beautiful. And then I hear myself and I'm like,
Well, that could just be like, not liking the sound of your own voice.
well, that's definitely a part of it for sure. Yeah. 100% part of it.
But also it could be that your mic is outdated. You might need a new one.
Like,
I don't know.
maybe.
What kind of mic you
I don't
got?
know. I got the blue snowball.
Oh, I used to have one of those. I feel like the Blue Snowball, like it's
Overrated.
good. No, it's not overrated. I would say it's good, but it's not like podcast quality good. You know what I'm saying?
Funnily enough, I was Googling like microphones for podcast use and this one did pop up.
Oh,
But that was just one list. I can't be certain if that's actually true.
and yoop.
Hey.
Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to another amazing, incredible episode of What Did the Gays Think? I feel like it's been 20 years since we've recorded last. Why do I feel like that?
Well, we had 2 episodes in the bank.
Right.
And then didn't I say that the last time we recorded as well? I don't know. Time moves differently now
Yeah, I don't
because
know.
of daylight savings time.
Oh, that too. Daylight savings time. But right, what are we going to talk about? We've got a whole bunch of lots of stuff has happened in the last 2 weeks
Yeah.
for some reason.
My Gabite just died because this Gyarados is ass.
Are you playing Pokemon in the middle of our podcast?
Not anymore. I've said this before on the podcast in the most recent episode, but Gyarados in Gen 4 are everywhere and they're so
Oh my
annoying
God,
if you don't have an electric type.
You need an electric type. That's why you gotta get one. It's
Well, I'm
true.
hoping that one of my Pokemon can like TM something, but I don't think any of them can TM like Thunderbolt or Thunder. I was hoping like Gabite, but it didn't. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, but who wants to go first? Is it me or is it
Let's
you?
let's do the more wholesome one, which will be this lovely new movie that we saw recently, right?
You say it's wholesome, but I'm gonna get into the discourse of it.
Oh well, okay, but it's wholesome in that. Well, you know what? I don't know your opinions on it. We've waited on our opinions for
Yes.
this movie.
Thank
So I
God.
don't know if it's gonna be wholesome or not. We're gonna
Mm.
find out. So the Eternals.
Yes, it came out. It was one of those delayed, or was it COVID delayed? I think it was COVID delayed.
Mm.
Much like a lot of the other films and shows, but it was COVID delayed, I believe, and it's out. And we both saw it. I saw it twice. You saw it once, I'm assuming.
Yes, I did see it once.
And well, let's just start with what did you think? On like a note, give a number from 1 to 10,
Okay. I'll give it.
but no context yet. Just a number to start.
Okay. I'll give it a 7.5.
Really, that's cute.
Yeah.
I would actually give it like an 8.5
Oh,
or a
nice.
9. Which I think that some people, even like, Marvel stans who really wanted to like it may not feel that way. They may feel like
Hmm.
it was closer to like, let's say a 7.5 or a 7, but I liked it a lot. So, for those people who don't know, well, definitely most people don't know this. We've been trying to set up Marvel episodes for a while now, but we wanted to get some of our friends involved, but either they don't want to or they now live on a different coast. So it's hard to coordinate with them.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And Matt, as we do know from the podcast, historically doesn't watch things in time. So Matt is
I
slowly.
watched WandaVision and I'm very close to finishing Loki. I'm almost there.
Well, like I said, Loki's like probably like one of the most. Well, that and WandaVision are like the most game-changing or like impactful ones. So I can't wait for you to
Can't wait.
watch it.
Well, maybe we can do
So
if our other friends don't want to be involved because they're bitches. Um, then we can just do it. We'll do one ourselves for WandaVision, for Loki.
yeah, well here we are doing it live.
Yeah.
Doing it live for Eternals. So anyway, for those
Tune
of you
into
who
our Twitch
don't
stream.
know, Oh, ooh, yeah. Eternals is, their most recent Marvel film. It's an origin story for the team known as the Eternals. They're all just basically superhuman in some way. They all have abilities and powers. There's a ton of them. Um, and even before the film came out, when it was getting a lot of publicity through marketing, like trailers and posters and interviews and stuff like that, there was like a large upswelling, even within the Marvel community, that this movie was not going to be good. I don't know if, well, I have two suspicions about why that could be, but I don't know if it was from the kind of because Shang-Chi had come out right before it in
Hmm.
terms of the films, and that did really well in my opinion. And it was a really good movie. So it wasn't like it was coming out right after Black Widow, which to me wasn't that great of a movie.
Right.
So I don't know if it was that, but I have a sneaking suspicion it was because some people are racist and sexist and they
Yeah.
don't want to admit it out loud. Maybe because like there is something to be said about the marketing of the Marvel films that place people of color or women at the forefront. I think the marketing team doesn't know how to handle it, or as some people in the Marvel Disney community have said, Disney doesn't like necessarily promote them to do well. If
Yeah.
that's true, I don't know. But what I can say is like the Eternals marketing was nowhere near as like prevalent or like
Oh
sort
yeah.
of pervasive as let's say the marketing for I don't know, like obviously an Avengers movie or even like the third Captain American film or the third Iron Man film, for example. So
I
I
have
don't know if they
something.
were
I have something to say about the
go
marketing too.
go
The
yes.
fact that going into this movie, I only knew like two things about it.
Mm,
One is that two characters from Game of Thrones that I already know were going to be in it.
love it.
Which, guess what? Were the two white men in the movie.
Well, Game of Thrones historically has a lot of white people in it.
It does. And it's kind of sad for me, as a person who loves diversity, to only know the two white people going into the movie. I was like, well, here we are.
Yes, yes.
And I actually thought that, I mean, again, I didn't know anything going into the movie. I thought that Jon Snow was going to play a bigger part, but his character was just like in the background for the movie. I was
He's
like,
just the
okay,
boyfriend. He's just the
yeah.
boyfriend.
Which, the ending though.
Well, yeah. Oh, right. We can get to the little post credit after. But
Yeah, yeah.
did you say there was a second thing? You said you knew two things going in.
Yes, I knew two things going in. One was those two characters, and the second one is that there was going to be some sort of queer representation. I didn't know what.
Right.
I didn't know what, but I knew that the movie got review bombed before it like even came out.
Yeah. So there had been like the first screening of it. So you had this sort of build up where a lot of people were saying this isn't going to go well. This isn't going to do well. I'm looking at it. I don't like it. Could it have been because the racist, sexist stuff? Could it have been the cast is very diverse? Could it have been that Chloe Zhao, who is a woman of color, was directing it? Or could it have been a mixture, bad marketing? I can't say for sure, but but I think I'm gonna hypothesize that it was probably the idea that Disney and Marvel were moving towards like a more quote unquote woke film
Whoa.
because of the diversity, which is a complete joke, which makes no sense to me. Um, and people didn't like it because, the huge component of the fan base is, white men, and they weren't really seeing themselves represented as much as they're used to. They're not
They
seeing.
had three characters in that movie. I don't want to hear it.
Yes, I know. Well, I know. I think it's ridiculous. And I'm not saying this is what happened, but like just parsing through all of the comments online and all of the articles about it, this just appears to be what is most prevalent, what people think it's from. So, yikes.
Yikes.
But yeah, then it got review bombed early on. And then its Rotten Tomato score from the critical reviews were like 40 something. But
Ugh.
it's nice to see that the audience scores now put it at like an 80%, which is good to see, which I
Good.
suspected would happen because, and you sent me that video, the critics who reviewed it, the demographic breakdown of just movies in general is white men,
Yeah, I
usually.
thought I didn't remember if I sent you that TikTok,
Yeah.
but yes, it was really good. They went into the data of who reviewed the movie, and it's like overwhelmingly white men and women too, but mostly
Yeah.
white men. And it's just like, well, No wonder the critics didn't rate it very well.
And yeah, so when it gets to a larger audience, like the audience score, obviously it's going to change a little bit. And I think a majority of people who see this like it at least. I don't think they think it's awful, but I do think that there is, the argument that this doesn't feel like a normal Marvel film and, it feels different. But let's get into our likes and dislikes first, because I have here a little article I want to reference. Top 10 reasons why people are annoyed at this film,
Oh my
basically.
God.
So we can work through all 10. But first, let's I have a few like just general questions, and then if you have more to say about it, you can say whatever you want. So
Yeah.
first is first, which is your favorite Eternal? What character did you see and go, and then the subsection is what, like, not necessarily couple, but what dynamic between two or three of them, because they kind of couple off or group up a little bit in the film. Which of those did you find your favorite?
Okay. I think my favorite. Oh, I'm probably stuck between two of them as my favorite.
Well,
First one is Thena. She could kill me. She could slay me. I'm sorry.
love it. I
I
love
know I'm a
it.
gay man, but she could whip me repeatedly.
She could get her little ability to make a gigantic dildo and just
Yeah.
pulverize me with
She could
it.
kill me. And the other one, and you know what? I don't remember her name because I don't remember a lot of their names actually.
Is it Makari, the
Is it the
the
speedster?
the speedster who signs? Yeah,
Yes, I loved her too. I feel like she didn't get as much like backstory, which I was kind of sad about. But
yeah.
I definitely like every time she was on screen, I was like, slaughter me, kill me.
I just yeah like it, and particularly what I will say, like the action sequences with her, like because people kept drawing comparisons to the Flash and how a lot of times in the Flash, where they show him moving, the environment slows down so he can look like he's moving faster.
Right.
But in this film, they kept the environment moving as fast as she was, which made her not just combat, but her just moving way more dynamic.
Mm.
And I just think that was an excellent idea from just like a cinematography combat sense.
Oh yeah, I thought it was way. I've watched The Flash like a couple seasons of it,
Oh,
and I agree that her moving is a lot better than The Flash moving in that TV show. I'll
yeah.
say that.
Yeah, well, then again, it is a TV show. The budget's not the
That's
same.
true. There was also a Flash movie which I did not see. I'm pretty sure, right? Or was that
No, I mean
the?
he was in Justice League. They're making a Flash film.
Oh, okay, okay.
I will say, as someone who saw the Justice League film, both of them, with the Flash, they did the thing where everything slows down, and I think that's fine. But I do like it when a speedster moves super fast, and you're kind of in their point of view with everything moving as fast as they are.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, who is your favorite couple or throuple?
Thruple. Oh, my favorite
What?
couple's got to
Oh,
my favorite thruple. No, my favorite couple's got to be the gay couple. I mean, I love them. They're so cute.
oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah. At first, I thought you were gonna pick eternal couple, but no, that's lovely.
Wait, what?
I thought you were gonna like pick, a dynamic between two of the Eternals or three, like,
Oh, was that the question? Whoops.
like it didn't necessarily have to be someone romantically entangled, just like the dynamic between two or three characters that you really liked. But if you liked the gay couple, then work.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
like
did
the
like
gay
the gay
couple.
couple, but I
Yeah,
also liked Thena and Gilgamesh. Yes.
Gilgamesh. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love
I
Thena.
love it.
Okay, like that whole
Anything
thing.
she's in, yeah.
I thought that
Nice.
was really good though.
Yeah, I think. Well, here I'll give my piece, and then we can focus on the gay couple because that's at least what part of this should be about, as we are a queer
We are a queer
podcast.
podcast, yes.
I think the Makari and Druig relationship, while not like super defined, is cute and
It
subtle.
was cute. Yeah.
Um, but I really love the Athena Gilgamesh one. I think for the specific Eternal that I thought was my favorite, it was tied between probably Druig and Athena. Druig because I found him so hot, which okay, there's a scene where he's fighting. He has the ability to mind control people, but
Yeah.
people, not like his and not the deviants they're fighting. He has a scene where he just has a shotgun and goes hand to hand with a deviant and like wants to protect the people that he is kind of in charge of through mind control. Like this man is wild.
What?
Like everyone else has abilities that can kind of help them fight or at least help them get away. He's got nothing, and he's out there with a shotgun trying to kill this thing. And I'm like, and he's in like a he's in like a cutoff tee. He's got his muscles out. He's like jumping and leaping. I was like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
work.
I'll say I didn't care for him at first. Like when they first introduced him and like during that whole backstory sequence. Um,
Yeah.
but then when he was like, "Fuck this," like I don't want to do this anymore. Then I was like, "Ooh, I can get behind this character."
Yeah, I think also because of his ability being that to like control minds, but also be kind of responsible for the people that he controls to an
Yeah,
extent. I think pretty when he was having that scene with Ajax where he was like, it's like to watch humanity like hurt itself over and over again when I can stop it. It's like it's not good for a person. I was like,
yeah.
that's very deep. Which brings me to this little tidbit of the acting. The acting in this movie, like, listen, it's a comic book movie. All these are comic book movies. I don't walk in expecting I'm gonna get like grade A acting. I don't know if any of them should win awards, but the acting in this film, specifically that scene where Druig is like crying, explaining how detrimental it's been watching
Yeah.
humanity kill itself, and then of course Thena and Gilgamesh. Thena is giving you Angelina Jolie is giving you PTSD allegory, giving you Alzheimer's or dementia allegory, giving you like this woman who's like losing herself and wants to hold on to who she was as like a warrior, as a member of
Oh, it
this
was so
family,
sad.
and she's just losing control. And then there's Gilgamesh who basically says, I love you this much that I'm going to just be with you for the rest of our lives, make sure you're safe, make sure nothing happens to you. And then he's even like, when Ajax is like, what happens if she attacks you? You're gonna have to kill her. And he'll be like, we'll see what happens.
I'll
Like,
figure it out. Yeah.
that kind of companionship, that kind of loyalty for centuries to stay with this person who there was no obvious like sexual romance between them, but there was just pure adoration and compassion.
It
That is
was a very
rare.
strong friendship love. It could have been
Yeah,
romantic. Who knows? They didn't
yeah,
specify, but you could tell that they had a strong bond.
yeah. And it was just the scenes where she's like losing herself and like fading, and then he's trying to, oh God. One of my greatest fears, not that this is relevant, is getting like some sort of Alzheimer's or dementia, losing my memory.
Oh.
Oh, terrifying fear.
Well, get
And
ready for
then
the D&D campaign we're gonna play on Sunday.
cool. Don't cool. Anyway, so yeah, those are my favorites. But let's get to the thing that we should be talking about, the gays. So the gays are here. Fastos is the engineer basically of the group, and he is a queer. I'm not gonna say gay because he could be. They didn't specify that he could be bi or what pan, but
Yeah,
he's a not straight man of color who, by 3/4 into the film, you discover has a husband, presumably a man of color himself, and a child. And it's
loved it.
interracial because Fastos is presenting as like an African American man, and his husband, I believe, is Middle Eastern of some sort. And they have a child, and just well, let's just start with okay. This is definitely the highest level of queer representation we've had in a Marvel project ever.
Yes, but can I tell you something?
It's your podcast. Tell
It's my
me.
podcast. So when I heard that this movie got review bombed for
Mm.
supposedly having queer representation in it, I
Mm.
was like, okay, for this movie to get review bombed, this movie must be gay as fuck. Like
Oh
a
yeah,
whole bunch of queer characters, like half the cast being queer. For this
just
movie to
sucking
get
dick and
review bombed,
cock every fucking scene.
yes, I was like, this movie must be so gay. And I go
Yeah,
see it, and I'm happy there was a gay character. I love that,
yeah,
and I loved Fastos. But I thought like half the cast was gonna be queer, and then when I saw like the movie's not even that gay, it's just the one gay scene where they have the one kiss. I thought there was gonna
yeah,
be so much more gay shit. The way this movie got review bombed, I thought it was gonna be so much more gay. But then I was like, well, it was just a kiss. Like that's normal.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there are definitely other reasons that I'm sure it got review bombed, but that was definitely one of them. And then, of course, it got banned in several countries.
Well, yeah,
And then Queen Thena, Angelina Jolie herself, was like, "This is ridiculous. I don't know why people can't just look at or accept that there are other ways people live their lives." And it is just a gay kiss. Like the
yeah,
scene, the amount of screen time that Fastos and his husband share is probably 2 minutes in total, and
it's
probably about
true.
4 lines of dialogue in total. and then you see Fastos with his kid, which isn't really that gay because everyone can have a kid.
Yep.
Um, in some way they can have a kid. So I was I was shocked. But anyway, back to the queer
I was
representation of
shocked.
it. Do you think it's, good representation? Do you think it's accurate? Do you think there should have been do you think there should have been more?
I always think there should be more queer representation.
Right, right.
Honestly, for a while, I thought that what's his face? I thought that they were gonna make Icarus like kind of queer too.
That's what I thought because I might have said this on the podcast or I might have said it to you, but I mistakenly thought that as well. I might have said it out loud. So, oops, that was
um,
not true.
I mean, I may have been biased because I Richard Madden also played in the Elton John film, right? Too.
Yes, and he played Elton John's boyfriend, secret lover.
Yes. So I know that the actor himself is like fine with doing that.
He's also the actor. Okay, I'm not here to like tell anyone that he's gay or queer. I don't. He's never spoken publicly about his sexuality, but there's been like a lot of things that point to him having relationships with men. Totally fine. I'm not outing
Yeah.
him because I don't know the truth. I'm just saying, Richard Madden, if you're queer, I'm so happy for you. But if not, keep playing queer characters because I like that.
Yeah, like I kind of got the same impression too, right? I thought that maybe he's on the queer spectrum somewhere, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I thought that maybe they would make his character queer, but obviously it wasn't. So, and then obviously we got Fastos, which is great. I
yeah.
also thought I don't know if you got this vibe either, but I at first thought they were trying to make Sprite like kind of maybe gender fluid or trans, but I couldn't really tell. And then at towards the end,
Oh,
were using she pronouns, and I was like, okay,
I could
um,
see why you'd think that, especially with Sprite's ability.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And sort of uh when you're young you're a little more androgynous than like one particular gender expression,
yeah.
but no, they made Sprite be in love with Icarus and I'm like, ugh, here we go, everyone
um,
loves this fucking nationalist.
Also, can I say one thing I didn't like about the movie was Sprite? I'm sorry.
Okay, well, here, put a pin in that.
Okay.
Let's just wrap up the queer representation part, and then we can go into more of our likes and dislikes. So, queer representation, cool. Best queer representation we've had in a Marvel project. Yes. On-screen kiss. Yes. Men of color in a biracial relationship.
Yes.
Yes. Also, Fastos being queer, gay, and being a heavier set man, breaking stereotypes left and right.
Yes.
Loved it. Um,
Oh my God. Can I say when
yeah, go.
Fastos tied Icarus down in the final fight
Oh God,
and just kept him still, I was like, murder me. This is so amazing.
he's like, I've always wanted to do this, and I'm like, I want you to do this. Yeah, he also like Fastos became infinitely more useful in that last fight.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, because early on in the film, he shows how he helps people like create early inventions, like the plow,
Yeah.
and I'm like, is this all this man does? In the last fight, he shows like all of his abilities and how he's able to construct basically anything he wants, and I was like, there we go.
Yeah, we go.
But just to put a little bow on the queer representation thing. So before the film came out, there was a article that basically said it would have its first sex scene, the first Marvel sex scene, and it does between Icarus and Cersei early on in the film.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
And at first, I was like, I want it to be the gays, but I know it won't be because there's no way you're seeing doggy style on
No.
fucking Marvel. Never. You'll never see more than a gay kiss on Marvel. I don't care what it is. But then when I saw the sex scene, because I realized I was like, oh yeah, they never showed a sex scene. It's not really important. It's just to help solidify Cersei and Icarus as like an intimate couple. I didn't buy it. I don't
Really?
buy Cersei and Icarus as like this couple that loves each other that much. I really don't.
I at that point in the movie, I also didn't really buy it because I
I
again I thought his character was gonna be queer of some sort.
like I didn't even buy it by the end. Like I totally bought Cersei being this extremely empathetic towards human person, right? Like
mhm.
she wants to like ingratiate herself in human society. She's obsessed with her smartphone, which I thought was a lovely touch. She she's intimately involved in human history. She's like, is a some sort of art or history museum bitch, geologist. I don't know what she is.
Yes.
But and I can completely buy Icarus being this super devout like warrior soldier who will stop at nothing to do what he thinks is right for his master. Totally got it. But as a unit, I was like, there's no chemistry here. So when they're having sex, I was watching it and I was like, okay, they can't show a lot. It's a Marvel film. But also like they're just like very like very slow missionary and I was like, okay.
All
And then
right.
she's just like, I love you, Icarus. And he goes, I love you, Cersei. I was like, do people do this while fucking? Is this what straight people do?
I
They just
love
like
you.
slow missionary and they're like, I love you, Kenneth.
Oh my
I
God.
love you,
I hope not.
Barbara.
I hope not. I
Oh,
hope not.
no. Like I want to see I want to see some other shit. I don't know. But I think the queer representation was great. I wish they had a queer sex scene, but you know what? I'll save it for Wiccan and Hulkling, and then I'll just wait for Hulkling to peg Wiccan so hard and call him like a bitch or something.
Oh, hello.
Uh, okay, so let's move on to our likes and dislikes in general of the film.
Okay, yeah.
Go on. Give us like I don't know a couple likes that so a couple things that you thought the film did well
Oh,
besides queer stuff.
so I've seen a lot of negatives about this one particular thing, like how they introduced the cast pretty much like slowly throughout the movie.
Mm.
I love that though. I really liked how they did it. It gave each character kind of their own little backstory, but it gave you the chance to get to know each of the characters individually instead of like, I mean, yes, they did kind of throw them all at you at once in the beginning, but then you reintroduce yourself to them over the course of the entire thing, and like, I really liked how they did it, how they introduced all the characters.
Work.
So that's a like. Then I'll go to a dislike. I didn't
Oh
really
yeah.
like Sprite, like
Okay. So like,
how
tell me.
how a because they in the beginning they kind of like make it so that Sprite is like close with Cersei, and I enjoyed that. I thought that was really sweet. Um, but then they had Sprite betray everyone because she's quote unquote in love with Icarus, and I was
Mm.
like, well, why would Sprite do this? Like, is she really that obsessed with Icarus, or is like I get her whole thing where it's like she can't grow up, so she can't really fit in anywhere in society because everyone will suspect her, whatever. But
Yeah.
what does that have to do with Icarus? Like, why? I didn't get it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's less about Icarus and more about her not being able to grow up. So, she sees Cersei as this person who, like I said before, is like this very intimately involved in human society. And using her ability, she's helped, like, she grows crops and transforms dirt into water and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But, she represents the thing that she can't be. She can't be like this close with people because if she's that close for too long, people are like, why isn't this bitch age? So I think she's more at that point like, no, we need to have the emergence because I don't want to be on this planet anymore. Like, I want to get my mind wiped and sent to a new world because I just keep thinking about all the things I can't have. And Cersei's kind of like the eternal, but like the eternal reminder of the things she can't have. So I think it's less about her love for Icarus and more about her desire to not want to be here, remembering that she can't grow up and hopefully having some other better life somewhere else, which I think
Yeah.
should have been the focus.
No, I get that, but like, why was she in love with Icarus? Like, that's the part
Oh,
that I don't get.
I mean, listen, like he's a tall drink of water, I guess.
Oh, I mean, I
Uh,
will. I like the way Richard Madden looks. I will say that, but like, why was she in love with him? Like, why?
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where the movie was already long, and there's so many characters you can't flesh everything out. But given that that was such a pivotal thing, like her betrayal was paramount to that ending climax, it would have been a little nicer if like when she was talking with Camila and Johnny's character Kingo, right? Kingo?
I don't know. I don't remember the
Okay, I think
name.
it's Kingo. When they're talking together at the compound in the Amazon, I think it would have been nicer if she spoke more about it.
Hmm.
Or gave us a little, or if they had another flashback of like some other time, I don't know. But yeah, I think if they had focused more on her just wanting to like get out, and she just thinks Icarus is right because she's like, I need to leave and have my memory wiped. I think that would have been a far stronger motivator
Yeah, I think so
than
too.
having the two girls fight over someone they love. No.
Absolutely. I think if she just it was even more sudden. Like they don't even talk about her loving Icarus. If she just got up and was like, "Yeah, I agree. I'm going to." And
Yeah.
then it kind of went into why, I think that would have been even better.
Work.
Um Another thing that I like that they made Icarus the bad guy.
Evil white man.
Evil white man. I'm glad that they did not make him the end all be all superhero at the end, and that it was Cersei who ultimately, won the final battle, and I love that.
Yeah. A woman of color who's not physically that strong, like her ability is not to fight.
Yeah,
Well, she can do some fun shit. Having Icarus as the villain is great. What did you think about the basically the Icarus's betrayal, but like the scene with him and Ajax? Because I thought that was great. The moment she realizes that he's gonna kill her, and that she says something along the lines of like, "I've led you down the wrong path."
yeah,
Like she really is the mother, and you could see like this is a mother who's realized she's really fucked up her kid. Like she didn't do a good job raising them, being a parent, and then Icarus having to choosing to like push her off and
yeah.
then carry her corpse back to fucking what, South Carolina?
um, I loved it. And I
Yeah.
loved that because you kind of don't really know Ajax for a lot of the movie. Um, but then you still realize, like, at the end of the day, she still wanted what was best for all of them, and I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, you get like because she's spoiler, she's dead in the current like in the timeline in the present day timeline of the
Yeah.
film. So through all the flashbacks, you get to see more of her. But even then, it's not nearly as much as the other characters. But you can definitely get a sense of like maternal joy. There's that quick scene where um, Cersei and Icarus get like married or have that celebration in India, and you can see her in the center of the group like crying because she's so happy to see them, and it's like it's lit, it's adorable. I loved it.
Uh, of all the times that they have like gone to worlds and destroyed them, how many times do you think that Icarus and Cersei got married in them?
I mean, I don't. If they're all sent as a group together, people think that love always happens. Maybe it's always they're like always not anymore because spoiler alert, Icarus dies. Oh, that's something I want to talk about later. But any more likes or dislikes you can think of really quick?
I think I've said my piece for the most part in what I've liked and
Nice.
disliked about the movie.
Hmm.
What about you?
Well, since we're talking about Icarus, the thing I didn't like about it, like basically the one thing I didn't like about the movie was Icarus's real quick 180. I'm gonna kill myself.
Oh, at the end?
So
Goodbye.
yeah, like he obviously portrays this conflicted character very well. Like you can tell he really wants to follow, what's the Eternals? Not the Eternals, the red dude. What's his name again?
Yeah, the
Asherim?
giant.
Arisham?
Yeah, yeah.
He wants to please his master so badly, but you can see every move he makes suffers right after. Like him killing Ajax, he's crying and shooting lasers. Him trying to kill Cersei and he can't do it. Um, and then when she finally stops the emergence, he has like this moment where he just says sorry, and then whoop, flies
Into the
off the
sun.
earth into the sun. Very classic Icarus, very on the nose. I get it, but I think if there had just been a little more to that scene, just a little more, just a crumb of
A crumb.
something else, just so it didn't feel like the fight ended and he popped off to die. Like, I don't know, it felt so jarring. I don't know. But that was basically my one real big dislike. I loved everything else with the movie. I thought it never felt, even though it was long film, I never felt bored. The character development is great. I think a lot of them, if not all of them, did get like a good scene or two, like with where you could see them doing either their abilities or having a character development. I do love the diversity. I think Makari was perfect in every scene she was in. Druig was great. Gilgamesh Thena, like I said before, was absolutely top tier relationship. Like a lot of Marvel films, one of their central themes is like family, either blood related or found family, and this is like a mixture of both. Like the whole film basically capitalizes on like the themes that all Marvel films like. Um, or all the Marvel films have.
I
So
love that.
it was just, and then of course Chloe Zhao is a great director, and everything. I don't know if she was actually doing the photography herself, but whoever was doing the shots, and if she just directed the shots, lovely shots. Like
Oh, beautiful.
the movie looked beautiful in every scene. I was like, this is lovely to look at, lovely.
I just thought of one more thing that I disliked.
Lay it
It's a
on me.
very minor thing.
Hmm.
So you know that the one deviant that was absorbing the powers and like kind of became sentient in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I thought that was going to be more important, and then Thena just kind of killed it. I honestly thought it was going to be more important.
Yeah, I mean, I think Anthony said something similar where he said, not to drag Anthony, but he said something similar, and I don't think it matters honestly, because the one good thing the marketing did in this film was it did not show what the real conflict was. The
Hmm.
conflict of the film isn't even the emergence; it's more the family deciding what to do about it.
Hmm.
Like the fight isn't between them and a huge celestial; it's between them. So I think I'm happy I didn't see that. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see Icarus be evil. I didn't want to see any of that shit. So having the main conflict be between, the family members was far better. The deviant being there, I mean, it kind of is like a B plot or like a C plot line, honestly. It's more just to show
Yeah.
that the deviants can evolve, just like Arisham says, and that they can become even more sentient by absorbing Eternal's, powers. Whether or not that's relevant for future films, who knows? But at the end of the day, the deviants were just a means for Icarus to distract the rest of the Eternals so the emergence could happen.
Well,
Um,
I thought during that last fight when Thena was fighting the deviant in the cave, right?
yeah.
And the deviant was kind of saying something to Thena before she like tears it apart, obviously.
Oh, she
Um,
kills it.
I thought that Thena was gonna learn something new about like the deviants that would
Oh,
have done something in the movie later. I don't know.
yeah,
But then again, it kind of ended up not really mattering. Maybe they do something with it in the next film. I don't know. I felt that
yeah,
that plot line was left a little
yeah.
on a cliffhanger. I guess I don't know.
I think it's more just to drive home the point that like there was no real difference between the deviants and Eternals. They were both made by the Celestials for certain reasons, and both can attain obviously some level of sentience. So when he's talking to Athena, he's like, we both are slaves to the same master or whatever. I think it's more just like, yeah, these people like have no free will, but in essence, the deviants are kind of more free than the Eternals are, obviously, because they aren't under this belief that Erishim is like their grand leader and designer. But oh
Oh
well.
well.
Anything else I really liked with the film? I mean, I people thought like, you know what? Let's just get to what people thought in this list I have.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, So I found this NPR article, and this guy kind of takes, I think, the top 10 complaints or sort of um, critiques of the film, maybe. So let's get to number one. Marvel movies are formulaic, anodyne, made by a committee. So this is an argument that a lot of people have for multiple Marvel films, where all of them feel the same, kind of, or
Right.
they all follow the same story beats. I thought this one was actually nice because of how different it was, while still being very similar to Marvel films. So, like, just from a timeline perspective, this movie has so many time jumps, and the story develops between two, well, let's say two time periods, the far past and present day. Um, and I think that that alone separates it from the rest of the Marvel film, but also the fact that this is a more drama film.
Hmm.
It's more subdued. There is a lot of action, obviously, but it's far more drama than in like a superhero action film.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get the vibe that it felt like a traditionally paced Marvel movie. Like I agree they all kind of follow the same formula, but I didn't feel that with Eternals. It felt kind of different to me. I also felt the same way about Endgame too, though. Like I felt the pacing of Endgame and like the way the story was moving was just very different from, let's say, Infinity War, the previous one. That one felt more
Yeah.
formulaic to me. I don't know if you felt the same.
Well, I like both of them, but I do feel that Endgame suffered because the middle of the film goes a lot slower.
Hmm.
Um, which in retrospect might be a good thing because I think as like It's like age, maybe? I don't know. The argument that films have to be fast, that they have to be short, or that they should feel fast, that the pace should be fast all the time. I think that isn't shouldn't be what all films are like. I think maybe it's a short attention span thing, or no, it like ADD for everyone. But the idea that that films are bad if they're slow seems weird. Like some things don't have to happen so fast. Like this film, The Eternals, there are sequences where it's just a lot of dialogue,
That's
and
true.
people
Yeah.
might consider that slow, but I don't. I think it's kind of like nice.
I didn't think it was a bad thing. I've saw a lot of like, oh, this movie's very exposition heavy. I'm like, I liked it. Like it fleshes out the backstory of each of the individual characters. Like
Yeah,
I was fine with it. The whole movie doesn't need to be action as long as it's paced well and you're not spending like too long in
yeah. Like
exposition.
it's got to be like, what are you showing? What's the meaning of it? Like, get it out the way you want to, and then move on. If that's fast or slow, depends on what you want to show. God's plan.
God's plan.
So, number two, Marvel movies depend too much on backstory laid out in too many previous films for audiences to keep track of if they hope to understand what the hell's going on. This obviously is not true because The Eternals is one whole movie itself, completely
Yeah,
sort of packaged. It shows you The Eternals' complete backstory, basically, introduces you to all of them, and you don't have to see a goddamn other film to understand what's happening in this one.
yeah, you don't. Except I think maybe in one of the end credit scenes, like, but that's it.
Right, yeah, but let's make this point now that there were other people who said this film felt too dissociated from the Marvel universe. Or like, what the hell is this setting up? And I want to say real quick, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that this film, you know, isn't connected to other films and then say like, oh, what would be the opposite of that? Oh my God. Like you can't say that it needs to be connected or it needs to be standalone. Like if you just think about most Marvel property films, most of them don't connect to each other directly. The only time you see those connections are in the team up films and in
Yeah.
post credit scenes. If I watch Iron Man 3, it has no bearing on the future of the Marvel universe moving forward from that film. Not at all. The post credit scene, kind of a little bit, but like the
Yeah.
main plot of that film, the main plot of like Thor and Thor 2, nothing. The main plot of Captain America, Captain America 2, nothing. Captain America 3, yes, that one does. So it's like, not all of them connect. Some of them do, but the idea that like all of them have to connect is ridiculous. And why would you want that? Like, comic books exist because these are comic films. Comic books exist as individual properties that do connect on some levels, but not all levels.
I thought it was a strong point of the movie that you could watch it and not know about the other films. Um,
Yeah.
because myself, as a person who has not seen all of the Marvel films, it is better for me to see a movie in which I don't have to know all of the references in order to understand it. And
Yeah.
I said the same thing about Shang-Chi as well. The fact that it is
Yeah.
also a standalone movie, I thought was a plus.
Yeah.
Read
A
me.
lot of read me for filth. A lot of people I think are not concerned, but they're like curious because you have all of these different, seemingly different, like plot points going on in the total of the MCU. So you have like some multiverse stuff going on with like Wanda and Doctor Strange. Then you have the Loki with all the time stuff, and then you have here the Eternals was all like the cosmic shit, and they're like, well, where does this fit? And then I saw a comment like, oh, they should have released this after the whole multiverse arc, and I'm like, you don't know what they're doing. You don't work at Marvel. Like, what the fuck was Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier doing? Like that show, what was that doing for the? That show completely exists in its own universe for all I know.
Oh,
Like it has no bearing on anything yet. All of this is yet. You don't know when they're going to pick up stuff or what they're doing because Marvel is now going on all fronts with Disney Plus shows and films. So it's not like where it used to be where like films would come out sequentially and we always knew that Thanos was going to be the big bad at some point. This is all new ground, so why don't we just fucking chill out, enjoy all this lovely content we're getting, and then after these major plot points are done, when Marvel's like, here's the next phase, this is the main plot line, then we can have a discussion.
right. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, though, and say
Go
that we
off.
are currently at 45 minutes.
Well, let's run through these last ones very quickly, shall we?
Let's do it.
3. Marvel movies are ugly looking films that descend into dark, muddy, incoherent CGI slugfests in the final reel. I
What?
don't think that's true here. I think the combat, especially between the Eternals, was very crisp and easy to watch. So,
Yeah, I didn't get the feeling
blow
that
me.
it was very CGI heavy.
Marvel movies are emotionally arid and aromantic, with the pre-adolescent disdain of intimacy. Well, this film obviously is different. They have the first sex scene. It's
It,
boring,
it is boring, but it's
but
okay.
they have it. No, I'm not reading that one. That one's stupid. Marvel movies have too much exposition. Not true, all of them. This one does have a lot of exposition, but like it's variety is the spice of life, honey. Like if you don't like it, don't watch the movie again and just watch like fucking I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy where shit's blowing up every 5 seconds.
I think it was a strong point of the movie. I think I said it before. I liked all the
Yeah.
exposition.
The stakes in Marvel movies are so uniformly desperate and dire, quote, we have to save the universe, again, that there are effectively no stakes at all, such that all these movies have world-ending crises. What's the real stakes if all of them have the same one? I think that is an argument to be made for some of the films, but for some of them, not much at all. Like I said, if you watch Iron Man 3, the plot of the movie is not about the world ending. It's really about Tony Stark trying to save Pepper from being taken by another man. And then this film, while having to do at the end of the world, like I said before, is really about how the family, the stakes are what the family's going to do about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're way more, for me, I was way more emotionally invested in what the family was doing than the Earth. The Earth could have been fucked. I don't care. The Earth is fucked and I don't care. But all I care about is what the Eternals are going to do and how they're going to
the
fight each other.
the concept of planets being like eggs for these celestial beings, I thought was really funny.
You know what? I was kind of like okay, like I'm sold. Like I don't think that's a bad idea.
No, I was like, work. Like, I love when the comic books or other,
Yeah.
forms of media are creative in terms of like what the meaning of life is. And I
Yeah.
thought it was funny that the meaning of our life in Marvel is to get populous enough for this egg to hatch and then we all die. I just thought it was funny.
For more people to be born. I mean, we saw this kind of in Guardians 2 where Ego who is the Celestial basically planted parts of himself on different planets and absorbs them for his own power. So we've kind of seen this already. So it wasn't like out of the blue. But yeah, I loved it. Marvel movies feature wall-to-wall glib, jokey banter that undercuts any tension and makes every exchange between the characters feel like it's been punched up by the same 6 comedians in some Burbank writer's room.
Wow.
So basically, that Marvel films are like always witty and too funny. I think there is a lot of humor, and I would like some more serious moments. But I think this film does provide you with serious moments. I think the spoiler, the death of Gilgamesh and Thena being distraught afterwards, no funny stuff there,
So
and it
sad.
killed me.
I think that
Um,
there was only like funny content in the beginning of the movie when they're
yeah,
like intertwined with everybody and you had the boyfriend. I think that's really where they only had the comedic points, and then afterwards it was mostly just like so. And it's not a bad thing, but it was pretty serious. Gotta save the world and shit.
yeah, I think that my favorite funny part, honestly, was when they were all in the Amazon. They were meeting Druig, and they're all in that room together. And it's just the scene is so chaotic because it starts with Cersei phone ringing, and I think it's like Lizzo or something as a ringtone. And then, Icarus looks over at her because it's obviously Dane calling her, and he's like, And then Kingo and his fucking cameraman are recording. And then fucking Thena's sitting there with an iguana or something, and I don't know how she got it, but she just has a lizard on her. Like, of course, that would be what she's doing. She's like out of her mind with her lizard, and then she's like, wake up Gilgamesh because he fell asleep. And then that whole sequence is just so like it captures like a family like who hasn't seen each other, and they're just like chaotically going back and forth at each other. I think it's perfect, and it is
Oh my!
funny.
You know what? I lied. I said something I shouldn't have. I completely forgot about the camera guy and how he
It,
he was the comic relief throughout the whole goddamn thing.
And
Uh,
you know what though? Like he wasn't played as a comic relief, like as him being like the butt of the jokes. It was just
oh
him
yeah,
like being there, like a human
him
being in this
existing.
moment.
Where'd you
Yeah.
get that third camera from? I was like, that killed me. Um,
Okay.
Also,
Marvel
that
movies.
character.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, that
no, no, go
character.
on. Yeah.
Like the movie star guy. What was his name?
Pingo, right?
Oh, okay, Kingo. Why was he
Yeah.
not? Why did they take him out of the final scene? Like, I was very confused.
Oh, because he said, I agree with Icarus, but I don't want to fight my family. So he's like, I'm not going to be here for it. And I think that was an interesting take. He very much was a middle of the road kind of guy, but it also, like, I don't know if it made sense for the character,
Hmm.
but it was interesting that one of them had that take. That one of them was like, I do agree with one of you, but I will not fight the others because family doesn't fight each other.
I thought it was weird that he had that take because he's like this big movie star guy. He seems like the guy who would not want the world to be destroyed.
Yeah, and in the earlier in the film, he was like, all these people are depending on me to finish this movie. I can't just leave. So like he obviously cares about these people. So I'm surprised that he wouldn't want to do everything he can to stop them. But God's plan.
God's plan.
Number nine is Marvel movies are predictable. The good guys win, the world gets saved, lather, rinse, repeat. I think this film was not predictable because of Icarus's betrayal and Sprite's betrayal,
Yeah, yeah.
and Ajax being dead very early on in the movie.
It's true.
I think all of the, and then of course, the sort of retcon they do where Eternals in the comics are synth they're alive in the comics. They're like living things.
Right.
Whereas in this film it's being portrayed that they're basically robots.
Yeah, yeah, but they have a conscience, obviously.
Yeah, but it's definitely a change from the source material, which doesn't make it as predictable as some people would say. And then 10, Marvel movies are for children and childish adults, and they have crowded out movies for real adults. I don't
Okay.
think this is necessarily true because I don't like the idea that there's such a thing as a childish thing and an adult thing. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, children shouldn't be exposed to certain things until they're a certain age because of understanding
Yeah, and
concepts. Sure.
reasons.
I don't want my child or any child watching like torture porn or murder. I don't want that. Like, but then again, the whole idea that comic books or comic book movies is childish, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe because I'm too in the field, but I don't get it.
Right.
Like, it's it's art to be enjoyed. Like,
I
fuck out of
never
here.
I never saw comic books and Marvel movies as a kid thing. I always thought it was a mixed thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like I play Pokemon. I'm almost 30. I'm almost 30.
I know, and I wish they had tailored the Pokemon games a little bit more to the older audience a little bit sometimes, but I
We can talk
digress.
about that later because there was an article recently about that. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts about the film, including the post-credit scenes, two of them. Final thoughts.
Okay, final thoughts. I loved it. It was amazing. The post credit scenes, I did not understand the one where Harry Styles comes in and is
Mm.
like, "Here I am," and then he's like, "I'm Thanos' brother" or something. I was like, I didn't get what was going on there.
Yeah, so in the comic books, Thanos is really an eternal deviant hybrid.
Oh,
And his brother and rest of his family are Eternals. But that was in the comics where Eternals are living things that can procreate. So like I don't know how they're gonna work with it because Thena, I believe, is Thanos' cousin in the comics.
oh, well, we'll have to see how
So,
they mix that in.
but Harry Styles looks hot, so I was happy to see him.
When he came in, I was like, Harry Styles, hello, but I
Yeah,
was
he's
like,
an
okay,
actor.
but like, why? It's like, hello.
I saw him trending after the premiere of Eternals, and I was like, "Is this connected?" I
Is this
hope not.
connected? And then it
But it
was.
was. But it was fine. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
And then Jon Snow, what's his name in the movie?
Dave
Dane Whitman. I don't know what the sword reference is. I've seen like people mention like, oh, the Black Knight or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. But I'm
Yeah.
glad that we'll get another movie that will star him. What's his name? Kit Harington? Because I love Kit
And,
Harington.
yeah. And what's her name? Speaking of Game of Thrones actors, Daenerys will be in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus series, which is an MCU
Oh,
series. So
oh,
Game of
all
Thrones.
these Game of Thrones characters coming through.
Yeah.
Richard Madden just dying immediately though.
Oops. But do you know who the voice was in the second post-credit scene?
I don't. Do you know? Am I supposed to
Yeah,
know?
so no, the director confirmed it was the actor Mahershala Ali, who has been cast to play Blade, and Blade is the vampire hunter in the MCU. And I just want to say really quick before we wrap this up,
Okay.
there would be no, in my opinion, no comic book movies to the extent we have them today without Blade. Okay?
Okay.
A lot of people say it's X-Men, and I will say X-Men, the first film, definitely helped lay the groundwork, but it was also the film Blade. And no comic book movie has been as good as Blade when it comes to like um sort of that adult, because it's an R-rated film, adult oriented violent comic book movie. So y'all want to praise X-Men, and you should. X-Men was fucking lit when it came to setting up the comic book movies, way back when. But Blade is relevant.
Okay. I've never heard of Blade.
Well, okay. Well, the first two are good movies. The third one, not so much. Wesley Snipes is a problematic actor, but they recast him with Mahershala Ali, and he's the voice at the end of that post-credit scene, according to director Chloe Zhao.
Okay, so we're gonna get some tie-ins to Blade then.
Yeah, and he's super violent, so I wonder what the MCU is going to do with him, because he straight up murders vampires left and right.
Oh, okay. Here, I'm
It's
ready
coming
for it.
off.
I'm ready
Yeah.
for it. Which means that canonically there would be vampires in the MCU.
They've already kind of alluded to it, yes.
Oh shit, ma! Give me some Castlevania up in here.
Oh my god,
A show that I did
wish.
not finish.
Oh, okay, that last season is really good. You should probably finish it.
Well, listen, I've got to watch Loki.
I know.
All right, well, let's wrap this up though. So, thank you everyone for listening to us ramble on about Eternals for an hour or 55 minutes. Obviously, if you don't follow us on Twitter, go ahead and give us a follow there. Pat's been retweeting a whole bunch of Eternal stuff that I've been seeing. Our Twitter is WDTGT Podcast. And I know we haven't streamed in a while, but we streamed, yesterday? Or the day before?
I love you said we haven't streamed in a while. We legit just did it.
Well, prior to this most recent streaming session that we did,
Yeah.
our Twitch is What Do the Gamers Think? GAYMERS. And we stream lots of fun stuff like Phasmophobia, Sea of Thieves, Diablo 2 Resurrected, all that good stuff. And if you want to buy any of our merch, if you love us that much and you want to rep us, go ahead and check out our Redbubble. The link is in the description of the Spotify or the YouTube. Stop laughing at me. I see you.
Yes.
Yes. And I am Matt Klubeck.
And I'm loving Eternals and hating the haters, but I'm also standing Blade as a seminal comic book movie that helped pave the way. It came out in 1998, whereas the first X-Men film came out in like 2000. So people need to recognize the OG.
Remember who you are.
Oh, goodbye.
Goodbye.